I've seen many times in tutoring, I teach all grades, all subjects, or I teach all grades in this subject. And there's a misconception that if you cast the widest net possible, you'll have the greatest return of students coming to work with you. That's what I think sparked me into wanting to become an educator, was this really wonderful teacher who really showed a lot of care for his students. And where a coach comes in is somebody who can provide that roadmap to developing your business, helping you set those goals, being a sounding board for you, and find ways to really get your pulse on your business so that you can make that appreciable difference as teachers, make that appreciable difference, and at the same time grow your business. I think as well, if you're working as a team, it's very important that you have consistency. But really, it's about a message to the parent, how you're going to help their MVP, their child, or their children. That's where you should be focused on in your marketing.
Welcome to the Qualified Tutor Podcast. I'm your host, Ludo Miller, and I'll be interviewing tutors and thought leaders from across the tutoring landscape to inspire, inform, and motivate you to become the best tutor you can be. The Qualified Tutor community is a safe and supportive space for tutors who love to learn and grow. We offer training, resources, ideas, and a chance to connect with like-minded tutors. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our Qualified Tutor community at www.qualifiedtutorcommunity.org or find it in the show notes. Welcome to Michael Gibben, a coach and tutor who's based in Toronto. Michael has spent many years in the tutoring industry, founding and growing his tutoring business, I Am Success Tutoring, before transitioning to coaching and has spent the last year and a half delivering high-quality one-on-one coaching to private tutors and tutor company owners to help grow and support their businesses. In addition to practical experience, Michael is also a certified teacher and also has his Masteries Practitioner designation from the International Association of Coaching. Michael knows what tutors find difficult in setting up and maintaining their business. But today we're going to discuss the importance of coaching in assisting tutors, expert tips that Michael has for each and every tutor out there, and the biggest mistakes that tutors and tutoring business owners can avoid in their development. So we're really, really excited about what's to come today. Welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Ludo, for having me today and for an opportunity to speak with your audience.
Yeah, we can't wait. It's a wonderful angle to bring to this podcast is coaching and the kind of professional development that tutors, as with so many others in different industries, deserve and need. And it's something that's really taking off in the UK and, of course, in Canada and the US, where you're based. But we'd love to start, Michael, with a great question that really tells us more about our guests. And that question is, what kind of a student were you, Michael?
So as a student, I was definitely an overachiever, perfectionist. Socially, I had some difficulty fitting in with my peers. So I was bullied a fair bit. By my 10th grade year, I almost dropped out of school. My grades plummeted into the cellar, and I was like, I'm done with school. I don't really need this. And that year, I met a really amazing teacher who came into my life, and he galvanized me and motivated me and really showed me to just continue to persevere, continue to go for what you want. And it was very powerful and very motivating for me. And that's what I think sparked me into wanting to become an educator, was this really wonderful teacher who really showed a lot of care for his students. And and that was my journey, was being this overachieving perfectionist who really had difficulty fitting in, trying to find my own niche in the world, and becoming galvanized by a great teacher and going forward from there.
That's such a heartwarming story, not only to hear for fellow students who are in your position, but also for educators who know that the impact that they have on their students can be enormous and kind of lifelong. So do you think that's the kind of how you were as a student has led into your professional career, that kind of that perfectionism?
I would say it's waned a little bit as I've gotten older. I think I realize it's okay to make mistakes. We're all human, but definitely I think really trying to provide that exceptional quality as much as you can is really, that's still ingrained in me, and that hard work ethic is still there.
Perfect, brilliant. Well, I imagine you really that comes across in your own tutoring, doesn't it? That kind of natural outlook that you've had since you were young. Is something that can be transferred across to students quite easily. That's definitely something I notice about my own tutoring, is probably how I was as a student comes across in my teaching. So that's a really positive sign. So I wanted to really kick off the conversation that we're going to have today with a little look at how the tutoring industry may have developed since you first joined the industry, since you started your career in tutoring. So I'd love to know kind of what do you see have been the biggest changes in the tutoring industry since the inception of I Am Success Tutoring to today, really?
I think there'd be two things. I think first, there's been an evolution in the in tutoring style. It's more holistic, whereas before I feel that the confidence building and the motivation, that invisible piece of the curriculum was there, but it wasn't advertised as much to families. This is a wonderful opportunity to build your child's confidence, and the mentorship piece is far more developed now versus 10 years ago, and which is a really nice thing to see. Also, technology it's radically changed over the last 10 years. I mean, especially now in the midst of this pandemic, we're definitely not just relying on technology, but we're really expanding our understanding of technology, and there's an openness to it, and it's created a whole different way to teach. And it's been, again, that's been a huge change from 10 years ago, where pencil paper was still a really strong method for tutoring. Yeah,
now we just have kind of virtual whiteboards with virtual pens and virtual rubbers. It all seems rather strange, doesn't it? So when you first started with I Am Success, was there any kind of online tutoring?
There was, but it wasn't something that was as, I think, widely available as it is now. And I think the audience has changed as well for online tutoring. I noticed a lot of online tutoring then was for ESL and for if you're teaching students overseas, versus now you can teach somebody within your neighborhood online. And it's more accessible, and it's something that's become more mainstream.
Yeah, or you can teach 3 or 4 different students at the same time within your neighborhood, can't you? Because all they have to do is kind of log on to your session. No, it's certainly revolutionized the way that we work, and it's going to be very interesting to see out of the back end of the pandemic, or kind of as we move towards the easing of restrictions, how online tutoring remains. Will it still be a large part? Will people move back to face-to-face sessions? I can see there being a kind of a hybrid. I'm sure that's the same kind of where you are, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you hit it on the head, we're definitely going to go into a more of a hybrid model, because I think online tutoring has become, it's less, people who are more maybe tech averse have really developed a taste for it and an understanding of it. And then those who have not can slip back into that face-to-face model. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be more of a hybrid versus predominantly in person.
Yeah. Now, one of the main things that tutors have struggled with in the past year is exactly that, is moving from face-to-face to online. So that's certainly something we've seen many questions about that just within our own tutoring community, our online community. Many questions about how are we meant to take our face-to-face practice, our in-person practice online. Is it really that simple just to transfer over? But what that feeds into is essentially tutors coming together and providing support to each other. So off the back of that, I'd love to know a bit more about what you do and why you moved into coaching. Why why do tutors need a coach? If we know our subject and we've been tutoring for many years, why is it that tutors would need coaching?
That's a great question. Definitely for tutors, the academic piece and developing the subject and the educational skill is obviously a wonderful and vital piece of the puzzle. But I also find from my own personal experience with I Am Success Tutoring and also when working with other clients that business side is very green. And a lot of those key elements are missing in not just surviving a tutoring business, but thriving your tutoring business. And having those key elements in place in business, it could be foundational items like how are you marketing? What is your sales looking like? How are you building your relationships with your client, with your families? How are you networking your business, et cetera, et cetera. There's different elements there. How you're doing those things can impact and expedite the growth of your business. So that's a very important piece. And where a coach comes in is somebody who can provide that roadmap to developing your business, helping you set those goals, being a sounding board for you. Because as we all know with small businesses, like there's ebbs and flows there, and helping to really be a sounding board to develop that business and have more flows and ebbs. So that's part of why a coach I think is very vital in the tutoring industry.
Okay, so it's kind of directing those individuals who may not know about the business side of things towards resources and checklists and PDFs that can help tutors understand really what business means.
It's that, and plus providing a clarity and providing an understanding and helping tutors to have an understanding of where they want to take their business, where they want it to go, and acting as a catalyst with tutors to get to where they want to go in their business. Yeah, in addition to the resources and those pieces, which of course are helpful as well.
Yeah. So I'd love to know, how is it that you step in, Michael? Where at what point on a tutor's roadmap do you tend to step in and assist a tutor or a tutoring business owner?
Sure. So usually it's a couple of situations. The tutor could be somebody who's been a private tutor for a while, who's ready to expand it and make it into a business. They're ready to turn it into a tutoring business, but they're not sure about those launch fundamentals of how to launch a tutoring business and take it off the ground. Some of my clients have been in business for a few years now, but they're having difficulty with finding clients or how to get referrals and networking, those elements in place. And for others, it's, they've been in business for a fair bit of time, but they're concerned about the summer right now. And so I've had somebody recently ask, well, what do we do for summer? How do I navigate my summer? And so that's something that I'm helping different tutors with, developing a strategy for getting clients in the summertime and reducing that stress about what are we going to do during the June, July, August, and September months. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask something which is maybe a bit cheeky, Michael, but without letting us into, without having to, pay you for a session, Michael, what are a couple of things that a tutor can be doing now to prepare for work during the summer? I'm not asking for a whole pitch, I'm not asking for a whole session, but just a little insight into a couple of things that tutors can be doing now to prepare for that typically leaner time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So a couple of things that tutors can do that can provide additional client growth in the summer is parent-child learning packages can be really, I found can be very quite successful, where parents may not want to have tutoring during the summer necessarily, child might not be available, whatever the reason may be. You provide the parents with, here's some goals in June, here's some materials for June, July, August. Let's circle back mid-July and let's circle back and see how your child's progressing. And then let's do an assessment at the end of August. So we know when your child gets ready for school in September, they're confident, they know where they are, we know where they are, and we can go into fall strong. And that's a package that parents will often, they will purchase, and then they can work with their child on that through the summer. Other options are the back to school boosters. So having something in late August where you have a group booster program to help your students get ready for September. And it's a nice boost starting in August. So it gives parents that chance to be proactive and know where their child is before they go into the door in September. So those are a couple of possible methods that can work to help with maintaining clients over the summer, gaining new clients, and also helping your business to continue to grow in clients and sales over the summer months.
Yeah. So you'd recommend a tutor to continue with actual tutoring sessions over the summer, would you? Even if parents are maybe a little more hesitant to have sessions over the summer because exams might be over or they might be on holiday, you'd still recommend tutors to keep up the momentum of those sessions, would you?
If parents and guardians are open to it and they would like to continue it, of course, that would be wonderful. But if parents and guardians are more like, I'd like to take a few weeks off or several weeks off and let's reconnect towards the end of the summer, you can always offer those alternative styles of learning to keep the learning going over the summer. So that you can do the parent-child learning package, you can do a summer booster course, back to school booster. Like there are things available as well as alternate streams in addition to just the one-on-one tutoring each week.
Yeah, I really love that idea of handing over agency to the parents to work with their child over the summer. Summer can be such a good time for young children to hang out as a family, to be with their parents, to be with cousins or uncles or aunts or whatever it is. And if the parents feel like they're in control, then that's amazing.
Absolutely, and with the learning, it can be as little as 15 minutes a day. Do it whenever you like during the day. Do it maybe at the start, whenever you want to do it, and then that part's done for the day. You still have your summertime with your child, but at the same time, the learning is still an ongoing process to keep that mind active.
Okay, well, that's good to know for all of us. Not just for students over the summer holiday, but 15 minutes of learning a day can be beneficial. Okay, great. So that's a really good look ahead to the summer. We're in April now. There's coming towards what would normally be the very busy exam period. Obviously, in the UK, exams, the primary exams at 16 and 18 have been cancelled. So perhaps we'll be moving to a kind of summer mode for tutoring a little bit earlier than perhaps in previous years. So that's really important to implement kind of good and effective strategies from as early as possible. But I want to just go back a little bit to, let's say, the two main nodes of a tutoring of a tutor's business, which is or of a tutor's work, which is the business side and the teaching side. So, Michael, tell us a little bit more about what is the importance of the business side compared to the actual teaching side of a tutor? Why is that important?
So the business side, there is an importance there because, like I said a little earlier, do you want your business to survive or do you want it to thrive? And the business side is, and I know when I started my business, like I was so green and so overwhelmed by what was going on in the business side. And I felt like I fell quickly behind that first few months because I just didn't know where to go or who to turn to. And it's important to have that plan in place, have those specific goals, have your plan of what you're looking to do in your business, and think about who you want to help and how you want to help them. And just develop that business plan of where you want to take your business every month over month, so you know where you want to go. And then the teaching side becomes less stressful as well because you're not thinking about the business side while you're doing the teaching part. So you want to take the time to really develop that business side, set the goals, be proactive, and prepare ahead of time. And keep your eye on the prize of where you want to take your business.
Okay, brilliant. So it's about freeing up that really effective time. The reason that we are tutoring, which is to improve the learning outcomes for students. It's about maximizing that time. Absolutely,
and being efficient in running your business and trying to find ways to really get your pulse on your business so that you can make that appreciable difference as teachers, make that appreciable difference, and at the same time grow your business.
So I think it would be really beneficial to hear what are some of the main obstacles on a tutor's efficiency? What is it that sometimes that you've seen in your experience, Michael? What is it that drags down tutors in that kind of business side efficiency?
Sure thing. So I've noticed there's been a few things. So the first one is not knowing who your ideal client is. I've seen many times in tutoring, I teach all grades, all subjects, or I teach all grades in this subject. And there's a misconception that if you cast the widest net possible, you'll have the greatest return of students coming to work with you. However, if you find who your ideal client is, what is the grade you want to work with, what's the subject you want to work with, what type of what problem do you want to solve, what couple problems do you want to solve for this parent and guardian when working with their child, that will really hyper focus where you want to go and reduce your stress. Because if you narrow your niche, it might start a little bit slower, but then the word gets out that you're the expert in that field. And then you grow and grow and grow in that specific discipline. Take an example. If a parent goes to a website for company A and says all grades, all subjects, and they see company B where it's grade 1 to 3 English, and they're looking for a tutor for their child in grade 2 for English, they're going to probably go to company B, or at least they're going to be sparked to look at company B's website and learn more over company A where it's we do everything. What does that mean? So that's something to think about. For marketing, that's another piece that can become a roadblock. Is there's a temptation to put all about your experience and how much you cost. And if you put how much you cost, and it's something I learned as well when I was starting my business too, with I Am Success Tutoring, if you're putting how much you cost, you're making it more financial transaction instead of a point of connection. When they're at your ad, when they're looking at what you're going to do for their child. So your marketing should be very much about who you help, how you can help, and giving hope to a parent so that they want to find out more about you. And then after that, you can share more of your credentials. But really, it's about a message to the parent, how you're going to help their MVP, their child, or their children. That's where you should be focused on in your marketing. And same with your website, who you help, how you help. Put that front and center, not all about all that other stuff can be secondary. And then I think sales as well. Sales can be a very tricky process, and it's really having that confidence to be able to have an interaction with a parent or guardian where it becomes a very easygoing discussion where a parent will want to work with you. And that's something that could be that's a major roadblock. So having a sales guideline in mind and ready to go or written down of what you're going to say to parents. And I found something that worked very well with clients, with tutoring clients. When you speak to them, thank them for taking the time to reach out to you and how can I help? And just start with that and give the parent or guardian as much chance to share with you. So don't start off telling about your services and your experience and how wonderful your service is. Let the parents discover that themselves by the power that you bring by listening. So those are the three biggest. I think those are the biggest ones I've seen so far. And I guess the last one would be foundational documents, making sure you have all your contracts and insurance and business license, have all your due diligence pieces in place before you start as well. So those are the 4 pieces that I find are the biggest roadblocks. I was a little bit longer than
no, not at all. I feel there could be a whole podcast episode just on those roadblocks.
Yeah, those are just very important messages I wanted to share with your listeners about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That's been incredibly helpful. And if you'd like to find out more about what Michael has just said, be sure that is exactly what Michael has done himself, because his website is super clear. It says exactly what Michael does. It says what he offers. He's got a brilliant set of free PDF resources that you can download today to help you through those steps that Michael's just explained then, about your marketing, about the messaging, about the clarity of your website, about the style and communication style that are most effective with parents. So those will be in the show notes below, as will the link to Michael's website. But as a teaser for what you offer, Michael, that was absolutely spot on. That was rocket powered. Making sure that the parent feels very valued, but not only that the parent feels valued, but that they feel that their child is getting a high quality level of support is incredibly important. It's not many industries where you're dealing with the client, but that client is actually really on behalf of the person that you're working with. You're not really working with the parent, are you? You're working with the student, but it's the parent that you have to manage the relationship with. So it's very complex. It can be very complex with a tutor, can't it?
Absolutely. And it's just about that power of connection and that will be the lifeblood of your business. Is if you have that strong power of connection, it'll expand, it'll spread out, and that is the power right there. That's the heart of your business, is that power of clarity and connection with the people you're working with, and with when you get to a team, with your team. It really makes a difference.
Which is the perfect segue, Michael, into another part of the work that you do. We've talked a lot in the past 20 minutes or so about independent tutors who make up a very large and very important part of the tutoring business. But as we both know, as each and every one of you listening to us knows, there also exist many and very worthwhile tutoring businesses who provide tutoring on a larger scale. So, Michael, what I'd like to know from you is how do you help a tuition business with potentially multiple employees? So not just an independent tutor, but what do you do to aid tutoring companies?
Sure thing. So for tutoring companies, right now, a lot of it is the hiring, training, and just helping to keep that personal touch for the tutoring company as they grow. So that's been a concern, is we're becoming more of a brand, but we don't want to lose that personal identity that we give to families, and to that special touch of how we interact with the families. So that's something we work on. And hiring and training of tutors, which is very, that's a very important process, because they are going to represent you and your company, and you want to make sure that you hire the best person, but at the same time, you do the best you can to train them so that they're ready to go out there, work with a student, and provide the best possible service.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's potentially been hard for tutoring businesses, hasn't it, to retain or even to attract new tutors to work for them, because hiring has been very hard in the past year. But I imagine it's been very similar in Canada as it has been in the UK, where a lot of people have been kind of laid off jobs, or have found that they have more time to work a second job, and that's really benefited tutoring. Have you found that that's been similar where you are?
I have. There's been definitely a boom in people doing tutoring, and that demand for tutors has increased as well, which proportional to the increase in students looking for it as well, because due to pandemic and all the things that go with it, there's been just an ebb and flow of people going into schools and out of schools and in schools and out of schools. So having that consistency of a tutor has been very beneficial for families, and so from there, people are hiring more tutors.
Yeah. Thumbs up all round. If people are hiring more tutors, that means a very positive and kind of forward moving tutoring industry, which is why we're here. But similar to how we looked at solutions to problems that independent tutors have, when a tutoring business is beginning, and just as there's been a rise in the number of tutors who are looking for work, there's also been a rise in the number of tutoring businesses that have arisen in the pandemic. Teams of tutors forming a partnership or a business together and pooling their resources to create a greater reach and greater spread for their resources and for their skills. What are some of the biggest mistakes that new tutoring companies make, and how can they avoid these mistakes?
It's a good question, Ludo. There is a similarity to the private tutors, the 4 points that I mentioned earlier. But I think as well, if you're working as a team, it's very important that you have consistency. And sometimes there can be, everyone's on a different page and not sure what the other person's doing. So it's very important, if you're going to develop a tutoring business and you're working together as a team, that you have a consistent vision and mission, and you have worked together collaboratively on goals, and who's doing what, when you're doing it, and checking in with your team regularly to make sure that we're on the same page, we're moving toward this goal in our business, so that it's not a scatter shot and you're not just hoping for the best. So that's a very important element for teams that are working together as a team of tutors, is making sure that you're on the same page and you're working towards one general large goal, and you have a plan, a roadmap in place, how you're going to get to that goal with your business, and consistency.
Yeah. So that means making sure that every tutor who works for that company is aware of that company's kind of unique values and ways of working and styles of tutoring. That's kind of what you're getting at?
That's exactly it. Just making sure that they know where things are going and how this company is unique from others as well, so that you can share that when you're working with a student. You can use those values when you're working with a family.
Yeah, and that's really important for tutoring business owners, is that there are a lot of tutoring companies out there, especially tutoring agencies, and we know that many tutors work or can work for a couple of different agencies, because that's just the nature of tutoring work, is that you're not always guaranteed consistent daily work with one agency. So if you're a tutoring business owner, it's very important to think about A, what separates you from other agencies, and B, how you can communicate that to your own tutors. And in other words, how you can convince your tutors to work with just you, because you provide the best resources or the most comprehensive training or the best environment.
And I think as well, in addition to that, I think there's just treating your mentor tutors. I mean, it's a very simple statement, but treating them how you'd want to be treated. Treat them with respect, and they're not just somebody who works for you. You want to go that little extra mile for them to make sure that they feel welcome, and they believe in the process, and they feel heard. And that's important, especially right now. This is a very pandemic. This is unprecedented times. You want to make sure that when you're working with people, that they feel good about what's going on, and they feel comfortable and they feel at ease. Because if you're not having that communication with your tutors, and they're just another tutor in your company, then it's not going to last. Yeah,
it's not going to last, and they'll move on, or they'll set up kind of their own tutoring business. So that's a really, really good look at kind of the two main strands of tutoring businesses. Are the independent tutor, who has to deal with their own documents and their own website and their own marketing, and then tutoring businesses and how they need to think about their tutors not just as people who work for them, but as part of their own team. And that comes from the years of experience you have in the tutoring industry. You're saying that you've been a tutor since 2006, and obviously I Am Success has existed since 2011, and then you've been doing the coaching for a year and a half now. There's loads and loads in there. So I hope you listeners have taken a number of things from this podcast. I certainly have. And just as I was saying now, I think there could be a whole different podcast just about any of the topics that we've discussed here. So we'd love to have you back on again, Michael, in the coming months to talk about how we found the move into the summer. You obviously you have a great experience in knowing how to make use of those leaner months. So perhaps another podcast during the summer months to keep up to date with how tutors are doing would be really beneficial. But thank you very, very much, Michael.
Well, thanks, you. It'll be my pleasure to come back, and thank you for having me here today. And thank you to your listeners for participating.
Yeah. And as I said, don't forget to visit coachfortutors.com. There's plenty of amazing free PDF content there, as well as more of an exploration into Michael's services. Now, Michael, there were 3 specific PDFs that you wanted to draw our attention to today. Was that right?
Yes. So the first one is already going to be on your website. But the 2021 is a client growth checklist, which gives an outline of things you would like in place to have your client growth occur. Second one is your launch success. These are for newer companies and newer private tutors. The launch success checklist, and it has a check guide step by step on what you need to launch your company. And the last one is your networking joint ventures checklist, which helps with expanding your network, partnering up with other companies in order to expand your base of clients.
Wonderful. 3 of the most important resources and for a wide range of people in the tutoring industry. So thank you very much for providing those. There's many, many more. And you can find also Michael's Tutoring Business Success Support Group, which is a Facebook group on his website. Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you again, Michael, and have a great day.
Thanks, Lulu. You too.
Okay, bye. Bye.